Stop drinking your morning coffee the way you've been drinking it for the last 40 years. I know how that sounds. Coffee is the one small pleasure that gets you out of bed, the warm cup that makes the morning feel like yours again. Everyone tells you it's fine. Some doctors even say it's good for you. But if you're over 60, the way most people drink their coffee is quietly putting pressure on the one organ you cannot afford to lose: your heart. And the worst part is, you'd never feel it happening. There are no warning signs, no chest pain, no dizziness. Just a slow daily strain you mistake for normal aging. Tonight I'm going to show you something almost no one over 60 knows. There is one single swap, one change you can make tomorrow morning with coffee you already have in your kitchen that can protect your heart almost instantly. It costs nothing. It takes 10 seconds. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why it works and exactly how to do it. But before I give you the swap, you need to see what's actually happening inside your chest every time you lift that cup. Because once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Stay with me. I'm Ethan Cole. For 15 years, I worked as a cardiothoracic surgeon. That means I spent my career with my hands inside human hearts, repairing valves, opening blocked arteries, holding the muscle that keeps a person alive. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not telling you this from a textbook. I'm telling you this because I had to learn it the hard way in my own body. A few years ago, my fasting glucose came back at 124, pre-diabetic. My blood pressure was creeping up, and I was drinking 3 cups of black coffee a day on an empty stomach, exactly the way I'd done it since residency. I thought I was the healthy one. I was the surgeon, and yet my own numbers were betraying me. So I did what most people never get the chance to do. I studied my own habit. I looked at what coffee was actually doing to a heart over 60. Not a 30-year-old heart, not the heart in the marketing studies, but the heart of someone like you and me. And what I found changed the way I drink coffee forever. Take care of your body. It's the only home you have. And today, we're going to take care of the room that matters most. Now here's where I have to tell you the truth that nobody told you. You think the problem with coffee is the caffeine. You've heard it for 40 years. Cut back on caffeine. It's bad for your heart. So you switched to 1 cup. Or you went to decaf. Or you drank it later in the day. And none of it really helped, because none of it was the real issue. The real issue isn't the caffeine. The real issue is what your coffee is missing and what it's doing to your blood vessels in the first 20 minutes after you drink it. Let me say that again, because it's the most important sentence in this video. The problem isn't what's in your coffee. The problem is what's not in it. After 60, your arteries lose something called elasticity. They get stiffer, less stretchy, like a garden hose that's been left in the sun for 10 summers. When you drink black coffee on an empty stomach, you send a sudden surge of caffeine into a vascular system that can't flex the way it used to. Your blood pressure spikes for a short window. Your cortisol rises. Your arteries clamp down instead of opening up. And every single morning, you're asking a stiff hose to handle a pressure jump it was never designed for at this age. That's not a caffeine problem. That's a delivery problem. And once you understand that, everything you've been told about coffee after 60 falls apart. You weren't drinking it wrong because you were careless. You were drinking it wrong because nobody ever explained the one missing step. And here's why this matters more than you think. Cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer of adults over 60. Not cancer, not accidents. The heart. And what most people don't realize is that the majority of heart attacks and strokes in older adults don't happen during exercise or stress. They happen in the morning, between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., the exact window when most people are drinking their first cup of coffee. Your blood is thicker in the morning. Your blood pressure naturally climbs as you wake. Your cortisol is at its daily peak. Your arteries are at their stiffest. And into that perfect storm, you pour a hot, concentrated stimulant on an empty stomach. Do you see what I'm telling you? It's not that coffee is the enemy. It's that the way you're drinking it stacks every cardiovascular risk factor on top of each other in one 10-minute window. 1 in 4 adults over 65 has high blood pressure they don't even know about. 1 in 3 has stiffened arteries. And the average senior who has a morning heart event had no symptoms the day before. None. That's the part that frightens me as a surgeon. By the time the symptom shows up, the damage has already been done. But here's the relief, and I want you to hold on to this. The fix is not a pill. It's not a prescription. It's not giving up coffee. It is one swap, one small change in how you prepare that first cup. And it works because it directly addresses the missing ingredient your aging arteries are crying out for. Keep listening, because I'm going to walk you through 5 mistakes seniors make with coffee, ranked from least harmful to the one that's silently doing the most damage. And the #1 mistake, the one I almost ignored myself for years, is the one that fewer than 3% of Americans over 60 even know exists. When I tell you what it is, and when I tell you the 10-second swap that fixes it, you're going to want to try it tomorrow morning. So stay with me all the way to the end. Before we go any further, do me one small favor. In the comments, tell me your age and how many cups of coffee you drink in a day. Just two numbers. That's it. I read these, and it helps me understand who I'm talking to. Now let's get into it. Mistake number 5 is drinking your coffee too hot. I know, it sounds almost too simple to matter, but it matters more than you think. When you sip coffee above about 150 degrees Fahrenheit, you're not just risking a burned tongue. You're triggering a vascular response in the lining of your esophagus and stomach that sends a small inflammatory signal through your entire circulatory system. Think of your blood vessels like the inside of a long, soft tunnel. Every time you pour scalding liquid down that tunnel, the walls react. They tighten, they flush, they release tiny inflammatory messengers that travel everywhere blood goes, including your heart. One observational study out of a European cardiology group followed adults over 60 who drank their coffee at or above 158 degrees and found a 12% higher rate of morning blood pressure variability compared to those who waited 2 or 3 minutes before sipping. That's not nothing. Variability is what stresses arteries. I think of Walter, 68, a retired baseball coach from Knoxville. Walter was the kind of man who drank his coffee scalding because that's how his father drank it. He came to me with morning headaches and a blood pressure that swung wildly between readings. I didn't put him on a new pill. I told him to wait 3 minutes before his first sip. 3 minutes. 2 weeks later, his morning readings had flattened out. He looked at me and said, "That can't be all it was." But that was a piece of it. So here's the how-to. Pour your coffee. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Or stir in a splash of room temperature water until the cup feels warm against your lip, not hot. That's it. That's mistake number 5. But it's only the beginning because the next one is something nearly every senior does every single morning thinking it's healthy. Mistake number 4 is drinking coffee on a completely empty stomach. You wake up. You shuffle to the kitchen. You pour the cup before you've eaten a single bite. And you tell yourself you're being disciplined. You're not being disciplined. You're ambushing your heart. Here's what happens. When you sleep, your cortisol rises naturally to wake you up. By the time your feet hit the floor, your cortisol is already near its daily peak. Cortisol is your stress hormone. It tightens your blood vessels and raises your blood pressure. Now, on top of that already elevated stress chemistry, you pour in 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine with nothing to slow its absorption. Caffeine on an empty stomach hits your bloodstream like a key sliding into a lock with no resistance. Within 20 minutes, your cortisol climbs even higher, your heart rate jumps, and your arteries, already stiff from age, are asked to handle a pressure spike. Imagine pouring boiling water into a cold glass jar. The jar doesn't break right away, but every morning you're creating tiny stress lines. A clinical review in a geriatric cardiology journal noted that adults over 60 who consumed caffeine before any food showed a 17% greater morning blood pressure rise than those who ate even a small bite first. Dorothy, 71, a retired school teacher from Phoenix, used to skip breakfast entirely. Coffee was her breakfast. She started getting flutters in her chest by mid-morning. Her cardiologist found nothing structurally wrong. I asked her one question. "What do you eat before your coffee?" "Nothing," she said. So I told her, 1 boiled egg, 1 spoonful of yogurt, a single slice of whole grain toast, anything with a little protein or fat to slow the caffeine down. 6 weeks later, the flutters were gone. She told me she felt steadier than she had in 5 years. So here's the how-to. Before your first sip, eat something small. A boiled egg, a handful of nuts, a spoon of plain Greek yogurt, even a slice of avocado on toast. You're not eating a meal. You're laying down a buffer so the caffeine enters your bloodstream slowly the way your aging arteries can handle it. That helps your morning pressure. But if your problem is the racing heart that comes a little later, the next mistake is what you need to fix. Mistake number 3 is drinking too many cups too close together in the morning window. You might think you're spacing them out. 1 at 7, 1 at 8, 1 at 9. But to your heart, that's not 3 cups spread across the morning. That's 1 continuous wave of caffeine sitting in your bloodstream for 4 straight hours. Here's why that matters at your age. The half-life of caffeine, the time it takes your body to clear half of it, is about 5 hours in a young adult. But after 60, your liver processes caffeine more slowly. The enzymes that break it down get less efficient. For many adults over 65, the half-life stretches to 7, 8, even 9 hours. So when you have a second cup at 8 a.m., the first cup is still almost fully in your system. You're not topping up, you're stacking. Picture a bathtub with a slow drain. Every cup is another bucket of water. By 10 a.m., and the tub is overflowing and your heart is the one swimming in it. One cardiology paper looking at older adults found that those who consumed more than 2 cups within a 90-minute morning window had a 22% higher rate of atrial fibrillation episodes. That irregular, fluttering heartbeat that can lead to stroke. Raymond, 74, A retired engineer from Tucson was a 4 cup before noon man. He'd done it his entire career. He came to me after his first AFib episode scared him in the parking lot of a grocery store. We didn't take coffee away. We spaced it. 1 cup at 7, 1 cup at 11. That was it. 2 months later, his rhythm was steady. He told me, with tears in his eyes, that he hadn't realized how much that scare had stolen from him until he got his calm back. So here's the how-to. Cap yourself at 2 cups before noon and leave at least 3 hours between them. That gives your aging liver time to clear the caffeine instead of letting it pile up. 2 cups, 3 hours apart. Write it down if you have to. Now stay with me, because the next mistake is one I see in nearly every senior's kitchen, and most don't even know they're doing it. Mistake number 2 is what you're putting into your coffee, or what you're not. Most people over 60 reach for one of two things. Either they drink it black, which they think is the pure, virtuous choice, or they pour in something sweetened, flavored, and full of additives. Both can be harming your heart, and for different reasons. Let's talk about black coffee first, because this is where people get stubborn. Black coffee on its own contains compounds called dehydration, specifically caffeine and kawil. These are oily compounds that, in unfiltered or lightly filtered coffee, can raise your LDL cholesterol over time. If you're using a French press, a percolator, or an espresso machine without a paper filter, you're getting a higher dose of these compounds every single morning. After 60, when your liver is already working harder to manage cholesterol, that daily dose adds up. A long-term Scandinavian study tracking adults over 60 found that those who drank unfiltered coffee daily had LDL levels averaging 8 to 10% higher than those who drank paper-filtered coffee. Now the other side, sweetened, creamer-loaded coffee. Those flavored creamers in the dairy aisle are often built from hydrogenated oils, added sugars, and emulsifiers your body doesn't recognize. Each scoop is a small inflammatory event in your bloodstream. Combine that with caffeine on a stiff vascular system, and you've turned your morning cup into a low-grade daily insult to your arteries. Helen, 74, came to me convinced she was eating healthy because she drank her coffee black. But she used a French press. Her LDL had crept up 30 points in 3 years, and her doctor wanted to start her on a statin. Before she filled the prescription, she came to see me. We changed one thing. She switched to a paper filter pour-over. 3 months later, her LDL had dropped 22 points. No medication, just a paper filter. So here's the how-to. If you drink it black, use a paper filter, a drip machine with a paper cone, or a pour-over. That single piece of paper catches the dehydration before they ever reach your cup. And if you add something to your coffee, skip the flavored creamers. Use a splash of real milk, a small spoon of plain Greek yogurt stirred in for creaminess, or unsweetened oat milk. That's it. Now, before I give you mistake number 1, the one almost no one over 60 knows about, the one swap that can protect your heart almost instantly, do me one favor. If anything I've said so far has made you think differently about that morning cup, hit the like button right now. It tells me to keep making videos like this for people your age, and it helps this reach another senior whose heart could use this information. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now, mistake number 1, the one I almost ignored, the one swap that changes everything. Mistake number 1 is drinking your coffee without cinnamon. I know how that sounds. You're waiting for some exotic herb, some expensive supplement, some prescription only a cardiologist can give you. And instead, I'm telling you about a spice that's been sitting in the back of your cupboard since the holidays. Stay with me, because this is the part that fewer than 3% of Americans over 60 understand. Here's what cinnamon actually does inside an aging cardiovascular system. Cinnamon contains a compound called cinnamaldehyde. Cinnamaldehyde is what gives cinnamon its smell and its warmth, and inside your body it does 3 things at once that are almost custom-built for a heart over 60. First, it improves something called endothelial function. The endothelium is the thin, delicate lining inside every blood vessel you have. Think of it like the smooth inner coating of a pipe. After 60, that coating gets rougher, less responsive, slower to signal your arteries to relax. Cinnamaldehyde helps it produce more nitric oxide, the molecule that tells your arteries to open up and let blood flow easily. Imagine your blood vessels as narrow hallways that have forgotten how to widen when guests arrive. Cinnamon is the soft reminder that opens the doors. Second, cinnamon blunts the blood sugar spike that comes with your morning routine. Even if you're not diabetic, your blood sugar rises in the morning, and that rise stiffens your arteries temporarily. Cinnamon slows the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream, which keeps your morning vascular pressure steadier. Third, and this is the one that stunned me when I first read it, cinnamon has a mild blood-thinning effect. Not like a medication, nothing dangerous at culinary doses, but enough to help your morning blood, which is naturally thicker after a night of dehydration, flow more easily through arteries that need every bit of help they can get. A randomized study out of a Midwestern medical center looked at adults over 60 who added 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon to their daily coffee for 12 weeks. The results were striking. The cinnamon group showed an average drop in systolic blood pressure of 8 points. Their fasting blood sugar improved by 18%, and measurements of arterial stiffness improved by 14% compared to the control group. 8 points off your systolic. From a spice, Margaret, 75, from a small town outside Phoenix, was the one who finally convinced me. She came to me on 3 blood pressure medications and her readings were still creeping. Her daughter had read about cinnamon and begged her to try it. Margaret was skeptical. She'd been a nurse for 30 years. She didn't believe a spice could do what 3 pills couldn't fully fix. But she tried it. Half a teaspoon stirred into her morning coffee every day. After 6 weeks, her morning readings dropped from 148/92 down to 128/80. Her doctor was able to take her off one of her medications. She called me crying. She said, "Ethan, I haven't felt this clear-headed in 10 years. I held my grandson at his birthday, and I didn't feel my heart pounding. I just felt like myself." That's what we're really talking about here, not numbers on a cuff. The ability to hold your grandchildren without feeling your heart strain. So here is the swap. Tomorrow morning before you brew your coffee, take half a teaspoon of ground Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia cinnamon, Ceylon. Ceylon is the milder, true cinnamon with far less coumarin, a compound that in high doses can stress your liver. You can find Ceylon at any health food store or online, and a small jar lasts months. Add that half teaspoon directly to your coffee grounds before you brew. Not on top of the finished cup where it'll just float. Mix it into the grounds. The hot water pulls the cinnamaldehyde into your coffee, and you get the full effect in every sip. Half a teaspoon. Ceylon cinnamon. Into the grounds. Once a day, that's the swap. 10 seconds. No prescription. No side effects at that dose. And it works on the first morning. If you're going to try this tomorrow, type "I will try" in the comments. Just those 3 words. I want to see how many of you are ready to give your heart this one small gift. Now, I want to be honest with you about something, because you deserve to hear it. You might be wondering why your own doctor has never mentioned any of this. Why, in all the appointments you've had, with all the blood pressure cuffs and all the prescriptions, no one ever took 10 minutes to tell you about a paper filter, or a boiled egg before your coffee, or half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I want you to understand, it's not because your doctor doesn't care. Most doctors care deeply. The problem is structural. The average primary care appointment in this country is now 13 to 17 minutes. In that time, your doctor has to review your chart, listen to your concerns, check your vitals, manage your medications, document everything for insurance, and get you out the door. There is no time left to talk about coffee. There is no billing code for cinnamon. And the system that trains doctors is built around medications and procedures, not kitchen swaps. On top of that, the food and beverage industry spends billions every year telling you that coffee is a luxury, a lifestyle, a flavor. They are not in the business of teaching you how to drink it in a way that protects a 65-year-old heart. So the information never reaches you, not because anyone is hiding it, but because no one is paid to deliver it. That's why channels like this exist. That's why you're here. And that's why I want you to share what you learned today with someone you love over 60. Because they're not going to hear it in a 15-minute appointment either. Let's bring it home. You came here because of 1 cup of coffee. And in the last 20-something minutes, you learned 5 things that can change what that cup does to your heart. You learned not to drink it scalding hot. You learned not to drink it on an empty stomach. You learned not to stack 2 or 3 cups inside the same morning window. You learned to use a paper filter and to skip the flavored creamers. And you learned the one swap almost no one knows. Half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, stirred into your grounds every single morning. I want you to hear me say this clearly. You are not broken. Your heart is not failing you. Your body is not betraying you. It is simply asking for a small adjustment that nobody ever taught you to make. The fact that you're here, listening to a long video about your own health, tells me everything I need to know about you. You are someone who refuses to accept decline as your only option. You are someone who still believes there's something you can do. And there is. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 14 mornings, just 14, try it. Wait 3 minutes before your first sip. Eat 1 small bite of protein first. Cap yourself at 2 cups 3 hours apart. Use a paper filter. And add that half teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon to your grounds. 14 mornings. That's all I'm asking. Then come back to this video and tell me in the comments what changed. Your morning energy. Your blood pressure reading. The way your chest feels by 10 a.m. I read everyone. And if this video helped you, share it with someone you love who's over 60. A spouse, a sibling, a friend from church, a neighbor. One share could be the thing that protects their heart tomorrow morning. Take care of your body. It's the only home you have. I'll see you in the next one.